Hey, what's up, guys? Happy Friday. Here to break down the six-game NBA slate. Um, as always, we'll do the same schedule here. We'll go over what we know so far. We can look at some numbers. We can look at players and their prices, and then get to questions at the end. So, just before I get into it, this slate it's an intriguing one for sure because there's a lot of value. There's just a lot of players underpriced, so it makes for an interesting slate. I don't know, I think the ownership's going to be pretty spread out, but just thought I would say that to open up for the six-game slate. So we'll start at the beginning of the day here. Kemba got ruled out. That's pretty significant. I think Marcus Smart now stands out as one of the best value plays. I guess he's more in the mid-tier, but a 5.1K, I do really like that price. Him playing point guard really raises his ceiling. Let's see, a couple of things not too big, right? We knew Justice Winslow was out. James Ennis out. Not a big deal, really. Let's see. Alfred Payton didn't go through shoot around. This is somewhat significant. If he misses, a guy like Frank Ntilikina, I think, is going to be somewhat popular at 3.2K. Talk about him, though, in a bit. Caruso rolled out. Again, not a huge deal either. Dennis Smith Jr. went through shoot around, so he might be available. We got the whole Andre Drummond possible trade news coming. I don't know if you guys saw that. Woj tweeted something about Drummond being on the block, Atlanta being a possibility. Yeah, we got Marcus Smart starting for Kemba Walker, so I think Marcus Smart stands out as a really good play there. Brad Beal got ruled out. I'm a little surprised about that and a little disappointed. I wanted to play Brad Beal a lot at his price, so a little disappointed that he is ruled out, but now that does make those secondary pieces very much in play for Washington. They're starting Isaiah Thomas, Peyton Brown, Williams, and Mahimi. I'll talk about the guys I like here on Washington, but I do think at least a couple of those guys are very, very much in play against Portland, who not very good defensively. So you are going to want to consider some of those Washington guys for sure. Trae Young won't have a minutes limit. I do like him at his price, but it's a really bad matchup. Let's see. Some of the stuff is for Saturday. Jabari Parker will play. Again, not a big deal there. He was kind of getting phased out of the rotation anyway. And I think... Aaron Gordon will start. That is pretty significant for me, at least. With him starting and being available, I'm not super high on the Magic guys. Now, they are starting Birch alongside Aaron Gordon and Vooch, which is a little bit interesting. I thought they would stick with that lineup with Nwundo in there. But, yeah, that is... then Heat starters, Nunn, Butler, Robinson, Leonard, Bam. So we kind of expected that. But let's take a look at some numbers here, and I should probably have the NBA up instead of NFL. That would be good. Might have to refresh this. Let's see. Okay, we got Hawks Celtics right now, 224.5. Boston favored by 10.5 points. So there is a little bit of blowout risk there. We got Miami and Orlando sitting at 207. Miami favored by 1. So this game in general, not super appealing for DFS purposes, but there are some guys that I like salary-wise, at least on the Miami side, with Hero, with Kendrick Nunn stands out. Don't mind Kem Birch if he's starting, but he's a pretty low-usage guy. We got Portland and the Wizards sitting at 232.5. Portland favored by 7.5 points. This one, should be played at the fastest paced. Two teams that don't play a whole lot of defense, and we got no Brad Beal, so that game does stand out as a pretty appealing game to target. We got Philly on the Rockets right now sitting at 227.5. The Rockets are by 5 points. We got Knicks Suns at 224. Suns are favored by 7.5. And the late night hammer here is the Pelicans Lakers 225.5. The Lakers favored by 10. So there's a little bit of blowout risk there as well. But I guess we'll just start here with Portland. I guess before I get into the players and their prices, if you guys enjoy this content, again, it would just really help me out if you hit that like button. All the content here is free with live streams, videos. I try to answer your guys' questions on Twitter. So just I would appreciate if you guys hit that like button if you do enjoy. But we'll start with Portland here. So, Lillard and Whiteside are more contrarian options for me just because of their prices. It's a really, really good spot. I talked about them in a video, but 9.7K for Lillard seems priced about right. And same with Whiteside. I think Whiteside's maybe even a little bit overpriced. But I still wouldn't be surprised if those guys have a good game even for their salary, right? I think Whiteside could still get over 50. Same thing with Lillard. These guys can still get you there. They just don't make as good of plays because they're priced accordingly. And again, I think Whiteside might be a little bit overpriced. And it's tough for me to get to Whiteside. I've been a big Whiteside guy. I've been playing him a lot. But when you got Joel Embiid for $100 less, it makes it kind of tricky for me to get to Whiteside. But like I said, I don't think these guys are out of play for sure. I definitely think you can still go there, but they're more contrarian options for me. CJ stands out as a pretty solid play at his price. Lillard and Whiteside's price went way up. CJ's kind of stayed the same. Again, he's a guy that I don't think he kills you. He has a floor basically like 25 to 30, and then he will have those upside games, every once in a while where he can get you over 50. So I'm perfectly fine if you land on CJ there in the mid tier. Melo's price came up a little bit, 6.7K. I'm okay if you get to, probably not going to go out of my way to play him. I do kind of like Kent Bazemore here at 3.5K. The minutes have been, I guess, somewhat steady, averaging about 25. He's been a pretty low usage guy in this offense, but again, this is one of the best possible spots. So I do have some interest there in Bazemore as a value guy. Don't mind Simons. I think he goes a lot lower owned compared to Bazemore, but I think both those guys are in play as value guys. And that kind of wraps up Portland. So let's move on to Washington. So again, the big news is no Brad Beal. Again, they're obviously still missing all of their bigs with Bryant, Rui, Mo Wagner, and Bertans as well. So they're starting Troy Brown, Isaiah Thomas, Mahimi, Gary Payton, and Jonathan Williams. I thought it was interesting. I'll bring up my phone and just kind of talk about the minutes of the last game where Beal was out, which was 2 games ago. So they started the same starting 5 2 games ago. Troy Brown played 28 minutes. Gary Payton played 14. Isaiah Thomas played 22. Mahimi played 28. And Jonathan Williams played 18 for the starters. And off the bench, AP played 18. Ish Smith played 31. Bongo played 16. Matthews played 29. And Jordan McRae played 35 minutes. So I don't know if we can necessarily expect that again. But the minutes for Gary Payton do worry me a little bit because, with no Brad Beal, he started and only played 14 minutes. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he plays well that they extend him to like 30 minutes like we saw in previous games. So it's a little tricky. I think he's more of a GPP option because those minutes may be a little bit more up in the air compared to other guys. I think my favorite play would be, I think my 2 favorite plays are actually guys coming off the bench. I think number 1 would probably be Jordan McRae for me at 5.8K. I know his price is up, but 35 and 31 the last couple games. I think we get about 30 or so, maybe a little bit more. And he has flashed that upside, so I think he'd probably be my favorite target, I guess. And then I don't mind if you get to Troy Brown at 5.4. I think that stands out as a pretty decent option. Isaiah Thomas at 5.3 is more of a contrarian option in my opinion. The minutes have been a little bit down the last couple games. I think I would prefer Ish Smith for $1,000 less. He's played 31 and 28 minutes the last couple games. The concern with the point guards lease is they kind of will ride at the hot hand. So if Isaiah Thomas is playing better, they'll kind of cut Ish Smith's minutes short. If Ish Smith is playing better, they'll cut IT's minutes short. So they don't really use those 2 guys together a whole lot. So it makes it a bit risky. I don't think I would play Isaiah Thomas and Ish Smith together. Mahimi, I don't see myself getting there. Again, Gary Payton, more of just a risky GPP option because I have no idea what his minutes are going to be like. AP, I think stands out as a pretty solid value option there at 3.2. I think right around 20 or so minutes, and at min price, I don't think he's going to kill you. Jonathan Williams, not seeing enough minutes from me. And that's kind of it for Washington. So again, I think it would be probably Jordan McRae and Ish Smith being my favorite plays, but I think Troy Brown is very much in play. And Gary Payton is a GPP option because his minutes are a little bit up and down. I don't mind AP as a value guy. So these are guys, no one really stands out as the best play on the Washington side, but I think you can take shots on these guys. If I was making multiple lineups, I would want a little bit of exposure to a few of these guys for sure. So like I said, I'm not super confident in being Jordan McRae is my favorite play, but that's where I'm leaning right now. If you feel more comfortable with Troy Brown or one of those other guys, I have no issue there. Miami Orlando. So this game right now is, I wouldn't say it's a fade, but it's a pretty unappealing. It's going to be it's definitely the lowest over under the day, 207. It's going to be played at a really slow pace, but there are some appealing salaries. Now Jimmy and Bam, I'm fine if you get there. I just don't see myself getting there on this slate. I would rather target the cheaper guys in Miami. Those cheaper guys being Kendrick Nunn at 4.4. I think he's going to be pretty popular today, but he's got 34 and 38 minutes in back-to-back games. And then even a guy like Tyler Hero, 3.7K, his minutes have been a little bit more up and down, 22, 34, 20, 33. But if he's playing well, I think he does get extended to about 30 or so. You could look to Derrick Jones Jr. as well. Another one of he's just in that range with him. So him, Hero, and Nunn, I think are the guys that are probably my preferred targets there on Miami side, just because their prices and all have been getting somewhat significant runs. So I think all of those guys stand out as pretty solid value options. And I don't think I would touch anyone else on this team. Again, if you feel confident with Bam or Jimmy, that's fine. I like their prices. I just don't see myself getting there. I would rather take shots on those cheaper Miami guys. On the Orlando side, so there's not a whole lot I like now with Aaron Gordon being available. Him himself at 5.7K, I don't know if he's going to be limited or not. I don't see myself taking a shot there. Vucevic with Aaron Gordon back, that kind of caps his upside a little bit. It's a really bad spot here against Miami too. Again, Fournier, not for me. Fulton, Augustine, I'll pass. Terrence Ross is an intriguing GPP option, but that's about it. Kem Birch, he is going to start. I don't know how high his upside is. I don't know really how many minutes he's going to play. My best guess, probably about 25 or so. So he's a guy you can take a shot on as a cheap option, but that's really what I got for Orlando. Not a whole lot I like. Again, this game in general is just not very appealing for DFS purposes. But yeah, we're 2 games in. Let me check Fantasy Labs really quick, see if we got any more news, and I can get back into it. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything while I'm doing this. Let's see. Dion Waiters, active scratch. Again, he hasn't played all year. Eric Gordon will be limited to 30 minutes. That's somewhat interesting there. His upside is capped with playing alongside Harden and Westbrook, but if he gets 30 minutes, I think he's an okay option. Well, let's move on to Atlanta-Boston here. So on the Atlanta side, not a whole lot I'm excited about. I do like Trae Young's price a good amount at 9.2. He's not going to be limited, so I think he is perfectly in play. You're kind of betting on the talent here because Boston, one of the tougher matchups. But again, the price tag is appealing. I think the minutes will be pretty solid for him as well. So I'm perfectly fine if you land on Trae Young. I think he's more of a contrarian option today, though, just because there's studs priced around him in similar spots that are in a lot better matchups. So I'm perfectly fine if you land on Trae Young for GPPs there. A guy like John Collins, 7.5K, is another one I'm fine if you get to. I don't think I'm going to get there personally, though, at that price. And then everyone else, kind of a fade with Trae Young back. It really just caps their upside. Like DeAndre Hunter, 4.2, is okay, but I think I probably prefer value guys elsewhere. That's really what I got for Atlanta. Not a whole lot I'm excited about. On the Boston side, I'm a little bit more excited here. So no Kemba Walker. That's pretty significant. I believe Jaylen Brown is good to go. Yeah, he just had an illness, so he should be good to go. My favorite play here is Marcus Smart at 5.1. He's going to start for Kemba Walker at point, and that just, that really solidifies his minutes, I think, in a really good matchup. I think he gets 30 to 35, and him playing the point guard just really raises his upside. So Marcus Smart, one of my favorite plays there at 5.1K. The other guys, the wings are very much viable as well with Tatum, Brown, and Gordon Hayward. I think all 3 stand out as pretty solid plays. Again, there is a little bit of ball risk here playing at Boston, but if you get to Smart and one of those other wings, I'm perfectly fine. As of right now, I only have Marcus Smart, but I do like Gordon Hayward, I do like Jaylen Brown, I do like Jason Tatum with no Kemba Walker. I think all of those guys' usage go up a bit. Enes Kanter, more of just a contrarian or just GPP option because his minutes are so, he doesn't play big minutes ever. So, probably about 20 or so. He can get you, he had 47 in 23 minutes. So he's a guy that can get you there in limited time. But I just don't see myself getting there for one lineup. And that's really it. I don't think, Wanamaker maybe gets a little extra run too, but I don't think we have to go there. I really think it's, Marcus Smart definitely being my favorite play, followed by those wings of Tatum, Brown, and Hayward. On the Philadelphia side, so there is a decent amount I like here. Mainly the top 2 guys with Embiid and Ben Simmons. I think Joel Embiid, one of my favorite plays of the day at 9.4K. That's way too cheap. Philly has been struggling a bit recently, so I think they're going to want to come out and have a good game today. And this is an up-tempo game here against Houston. Houston doesn't play a whole lot of defense. Not really scared of Capella defense. He's an okay defender, but Joel Embiid is 9.4K. I really think he stands out as one of the better options in the slate. So he is one of my favorite plays of the day. He's the thumbnail of my video for a reason. I really like Embiid at that price. I also don't mind Ben Simmons at 8.1K. Again, I talked about in my video, I love playing guys that fill up a stat sheet because when they have the good shooting nights, you can have a huge upside game. Like, I would not be surprised if Ben Simmons puts up over 50. I think he has a pretty high floor because of those peripheral stats, so I'm perfectly fine if you get to Ben Simmons too. The other pieces, Tobias, Josh Richardson, Al Horford, are fine if you get there. I don't see myself prioritizing these guys. Again, Tobias, I just hate that. I just don't like playing him because he's very, very scoring dependent. We saw it against the Pacers. He had 15 fantasy points with no Joel Embiid. Like, if he's shooting the ball well, he can get you over 40, but I just don't like playing scoring dependent guys. And when everyone's healthy, it kind of caps his upside a little bit. So, like I said, if you land on Tobias, Richardson, or Horford, it's okay. But my main priorities here are Joel Embiid 1 and then Ben Simmons 2. On the Houston side, again, there's a lot of value in the slate, so I'm perfectly fine with getting to Harden. I really like him as a spend up at 10.9. I know it's not necessarily the best spot here against Philly, but it's just the price tag that makes him very, very much in play. He has a super high floor, and we know the ceiling is really high for Harden. Like, he can get 80 fantasy points in the matchup for sure. He's priced under 11K. Obviously he's their go-to guy. So I do like James Harden a good amount. Again, I think you can get a lot of these stars in your lineup because there's a lot of value guys we can play. So Harden, I think, stands out as a really solid spend up. Westbrook, I think, is more of a contrarian option. I like the price, but I just think he goes very low owned. I think he's going to be, again, probably about a fifth owned as James Harden. But the upside is still there with him, so I'm fine if you get there. I think I'd prefer paying a little bit more for Harden, though. And the really tempts me with Capella's price, 6.9K, that stands out as a really solid play now. It's a really bad spot against Embiid, but I think he does get about 35 or so in a close game. So I think Capella, because of his price, makes him very much in play. I'm fine with PJ Tucker as a value guy at 3.9. I'm fine with Eric Gordon as a value guy. Again, they're going to limit him to 30 minutes, which is not bad. Like 30 minutes of Eric Gordon. I know he is very scoring dependent as well, but if he gets 30 minutes at this price, I think he stands out as a pretty decent value option. And that's what I got for Houston. So, I think the big three there with Harden, Westbrook, and Paul stand out as pretty solid options. And then the value guys, Tucker and Eric Gordon, I don't mind. If Eric Gordon gets 30 minutes, I think he stands out as a pretty decent option, even though he is scoring dependent. So we got 2 games left here, Knicks and Suns being one. So on the Knicks side, we're still waiting on Elfrid Payton news, I believe, as well as Dennis Smith Jr. Let me confirm that one more time. Check in on Fantasy Labs. So we are still waiting on that news. My best guess is he's probably not going to go due to personal reasons. He missed shooting around, so if I had to guess again, I would think he doesn't, or he is not going to be available, which would make Ntilikina an interesting play. Where is he at here? 3.2K. He played 23 minutes, had 34 fantasy points. My issue with him is we have seen him, get good run and be really, really bad. So he's a little bit up and down. He doesn't do a whole lot of scoring. So he's a guy that, will get more peripheral stats. I think he's a decent option if Elfrid Payton does miss. I think he's in that group of guys who can take shots on to allow us to get those studs. So I'm perfectly fine if Elfrid Payton is out to go to Ntilikina. It would obviously help if Dennis Smith Jr. is out as well. He is questionable. He's not playing huge minutes, but that would maybe take a few minutes away from Ntilikina if Elfrid Payton is out. But let's talk about one of my favorite plays here, Julius Randle at 7.7. His price is coming down. His upside has been huge here recently. He's the go-to guy. And I assume Phoenix is going to start DeAndre Ayton, which is just a bigger boost for Julius Randle. Ayton, one of the worst defenders. Now, if they start Baines, that would be a little bit of a downgrade to Randle, but I would still like him a lot at this price tag. I think he gets about 35 or so in a close game. And again, he's been playing really good basketball. His price came down a bit, so I really like Julius Randle at that price at 7.7K. The other options, not super excited about everyone else. Mitchell Robinson, not for me. Marcus Morris, thinks okay. They're in the mid-range. I think he was a bit lower owned, but we have seen he can have upside games. RJ Barrett, if Elfrid Payton gets ruled out, you can look there. He's kind of been bad, but I think maybe he gets a little bit more run at point if Elfrid Payton gets ruled out. And that's really it. So I guess just to summarize again, Julius Randle being my favorite play. I don't mind Ntilikina if both those other point guards are out. And then Marcus Morris is okay. They're in the mid-tier 5.6. We move on to Phoenix. So the Phoenix prices are pretty appealing, at least for Booker, Ayton, Rubio, and Kelly Oubre. I think stand out as pretty solid options. Booker probably being my favorite here at under 8K. He's really flashed upside recently, even playing alongside Rubio, even playing alongside Ayton. This is a pretty good spot here against the Knicks too. I'm not really worried about that matchup at all. So I think Devin Booker at under 8K stands out as a pretty good option here. And then if you land on Rubio, that's perfectly fine. His minutes have been a little bit more up and down, but he does have upside as well at that price. I think DeAndre Ayton, if he starts, I would have a little bit more confidence in him. He played 32 off the bench. So yeah, I think Ayton stands out as a pretty solid play. And same thing with Oubre. So all four of those guys, I think, stand out as pretty solid options for Phoenix. It's just how many Suns do you want in your lineup? Right now, I only have Booker, but I'm perfectly fine if you get to Oubre or Rubio or Ayton. I think all are pretty good options. I think all will play pretty significant minutes. So yeah, that's really my thoughts with Phoenix. I like those four a decent amount. Again, I'm only have Booker in my lineup as of right now. But if you get to Ayton, Rubio, or Oubre, I have no issue with that at all. Last game of the night here, we got Pelicans-Lakers. This one's a little bit more tricky. It's a huge revenge spot for everyone. Not really a good spot for the Pelicans. And there is some blowout risk here. I believe it's, 10 points? Spread 10.5? Yeah, 10 points. So, yeah, there is blowout risk. We'll start with the Pelicans. Again, revenge game here for Ingram. Revenge game here for Lonzo Ball. Revenge game here for Josh Hart. I think I think a lot of the Pelicans guys are underpriced. It's just, again, it's a really bad spot. So you're kind of betting on the talent here. Ingram, I do have interest in. He's more of a contrarian option though, just because of the bad matchup. At 7.8K, I don't think he kills you if you play him. He's at a really high floor, so I'm perfectly fine if you get to Ingram there. Same thing with Drew. Both those guys are going to play big minutes in a close game, and both are a bit underpriced. I think my favorite play here in the Pelicans, though, is Derek Favors at 6.2K. He played 35 minutes the last game against Houston. He's a guy that I think gets right around 30, maybe a little bit more. We know the Lakers run big. Again, we know it's not really a good spot, but at this price and with his minutes being pretty secure recently, I think he would probably be my favorite Pelican. I don't mind Lonzo Ball either, whose minutes have been really consistent, 36, 30, and 40 the last 3 games. Again, I would not expect 65 fancy points from him again, but at least we know the upside's there, Lonzo. And again, a revenge spot, so I don't mind if you land on him at that price. And there are a couple interesting value guys as well. Josh Hart at 3.9K has played 30, 26, and 26 minutes. He shot the ball 0 of 8, so he had kind of an off game. But if he's going to continue to play like 25 to 30 at under 4K, I think he's another one of those value guys we can take a shot on. Even same with JJ Redick, whose minutes have been way down, 22, 25, and 19 the last 3 games. But if he's shooting a wall, he could always get extended. Like Alvin Gentry could play him 30 or so minutes if he's shooting the ball really well. So I don't mind taking a shot at him at basically mid-price. And that kind of wraps it up for the Pelicans. So, again, brief overview. I think everyone is underpriced. I think my favorite player would be Favors, but I'm fine if you land on Lonzo, Drew, or Ingram. And then the value guys, I don't mind Josh Hart. I don't mind JJ Redick. On the Lakers side, it's pretty simple for me. It's the 2 guys at the top here with LeBron and AD, and then it's JaVale McGee as the value guy. So we'll talk about LeBron. He's at 11.2K, and there's a slurpus of value guys in the slate. So if you want to go with LeBron as one of your spend ups, that's perfectly fine. No issue. He had a huge game last time out. It's one of the better spots. Pelicans don't play a whole lot of defense. So I think LeBron is a perfectly fine spend up. And again, Anthony Davis, it's a revenge spot. He's at 10.3K. This could be a game where he has a big upside game. He's been, a little bit down recently with, 43, 42, 45, and 45 fancy points. But, again, a revenge spot. I think he shot the ball close to 30 times the first time they played the Pelicans. So you got to have interest there in AD as well as his spend up. Both those guys stand out as pretty good plays. The one downside is a slight potential for a blowout, right? But, both those guys are great, are perfectly fine spend ups. And then JaVale McGee at 3.5K, I think does stand out as a decent value option. He's not a guy that's going to play huge minutes. I think around 15, maybe 20 on the high end. But he's at almost min price. I think he's in that group of value guys that you can take shots on. And that is really it. So, like I said, this slate is tricky because there's a lot of value guys that stand out. There's a lot of studs that stand out. There's even guys in the mid-range that are viable. So there's a lot of different ways you can go. It's tricky because there's just so many good plays where I think the ownership will be spread out. If we're talking about stars, probably my favorite stars to spend up, I think Embiid at that price really stands out for me. I think, Harden, LeBron, or AD, if you have the salary for those guys, there's absolutely no downside, really, in my opinion. Lillard and Whiteside are more contrarian options at their prices. And then if we get more in the mid-tier again, I like Devin Booker at under 8K. I think Julius Randle really stands out at that price. I think the other Phoenix guys, Ayton, Oubre, Rubio are perfectly fine as well. Those Boston wings, if you want to play one of those guys with Hayward, Tatum, and Brown, those guys stand out as pretty good options. Favors, probably my favorite Pelican there at 6.2. And then we kind of get more towards the value guys, right, with some of those Washington guys. McRae probably being my favorite, but I'm perfectly fine if landing like Troy Brown or IT or some one of those other guys. Marcus Smart, one of my favorite plays there at 5.1. Other value guys, so now we get to kind of those Miami guys who are underpriced, even in a bad spot, right? Nunn, Hero, Derrick Jones Jr., Gary Payton, a little bit more risky because his minutes are kind of all over the place. But if he hits that high end, if Gary Payton gets 30 minutes, he could absolutely crush that salary. So I don't know if I can go there for cash, but for GPPs, if it gets extended, I would really like that. Ross is okay, GPP option. Don't mind Tucker. Again, don't mind Jones Jr. Birch is okay. Again, we're getting in the tier of guys we can take shots on to allow you to get those studs in, like Josh Hart. I don't mind at that price. So I didn't talk about Daniel Tice, but I don't mind him at 3.8. Eric Gordon, if he gets 30 minutes, I think stands out as a decent option. Again, Hero stands out a good amount there at that price. Bazemore even at 3.5. I'm perfectly fine landing on him. I think he gets about 25 or so minutes in a really good spot. JaVale McGee, not going to play the huge minutes, but his price tag is somewhat appealing. Again, JJ Redick, if he plays well, he could get extended to like 25 or 30. He's at almost min price. AP, I think it's right around 20 minutes. He's at 3.2. I think he can probably get us, 15 to 25 fancy points. He stands out as a decent option. Ntilikina, if Alfred Payton and Dennis Smith Jr. are both out, I think he would be in for some decent minutes. So, like I said, I just listed off a lot of guys, right? But there's a lot of guys that stand out, so it makes this slate interesting. There's just a lot of different ways you can go. And, that's kind of what I got here. So, let's get to some questions here. We got 15 minutes until lock. Let's see. Favorite Orlando guy? Like I said, I'm not super high on Orlando. I think it would be, I guess, Terrence Ross as a GPP option at 4K. Birch or Tice for GPP? I think Birch plays a few more minutes. Tice is in the better spot. I will lean slightly towards Daniel Tice there. Last piece at 4K or under for GPP. Well, like I said, there's a lot of guys you can take shots on. I don't know who else you have in your lineup. I think one of those Miami guys, Hero at 3.7 or Eric Gordon. I think those guys stand out as pretty good options. Bazemore even. Again, there's just a plethora of guys you can take shots on. I'm taking the big savings on McCollum from Dame, I think. Yeah, so like I said, I think Dame, him and Whiteside are priced about right, maybe a little bit overpriced. So those guys are fine if you get to them for contrarian options, but I don't see myself getting there for a one lineup guy. Ben Simmons, so Ben Simmons is probably my second favorite player in the 76ers. I really like Embiid, but if you can't get the salary for Embiid, I'm fine if you land a Ben Simmons. Is Bam and Favors cash viable? Yeah, I think both are. What up, DeGroot? I think, so I kind of, downgraded the Miami guys, the big guys at least, with Bam and Jimmy a little bit. These guys are cash viable. We know they're going to play big minutes. It's, again, not really a good spot, but their prices are very much in play. Like 7.6 for Bam is just too cheap. So, yeah, I think he's cash game viable. I'm not super excited about it, but I think he is cash game viable. I think Favors is as well. Will Ingram be chalky in cash? I don't think so. I just think there's guys priced around him in better spots. So, I don't think he's going to be too chalky, in my opinion. Can you go Troy Brown and McRae in the same lineup? Yeah, I think you can. I think I would cap my Wizards exposure at probably 2 guys in one lineup, maybe 3. Like, I wouldn't go crazy, but yeah, I think 2 to 3 would be the most I would have as far as Washington guys. Anyone like McGee at center? Yeah, so I think McGee is in those guys of, the big pool of value guys you can take shots on. Now, the downside with him is he's never going to play the big minutes, but at 15 to 20 in one of really upcoming game against the Pelicans, I'm fine if you land there. Smart, Bazemore, or Ish and none. That's a tough one. I'll go Smart, Bazemore, just because I really like the upside there in Marcus Smart today. Ben Simmons and Harris together, that's fine. Tobias is, I talked about why I'm not super excited about him, is he's very scoring dependent. But if he's shooting the ball well, he is a guy that can get you over 40, so that is fine. Eric Gordon is limited. So they said he's going to be limited to 30 minutes, though. So at 3.7K, I think he played 27 the last game, so that doesn't worry me at all. Limited to 30 minutes makes him in play, in my opinion. Keep the sheet up, enjoy the content. Hey, I appreciate that, Jason. Simmons and Bede together. You can do it for sure. I think if I was playing both together, I'd probably want to run it back with one of those Rockets. Probably be either Harden or Capella. And then you're kind of going full game stack there. But that's definitely an option. Would you be fine with 2 super value guys like Bazemore and Frank? Yeah, of course. I think a lot of people are going to have the same idea with taking shots on those value guys. Again, there's a lot of different guys in play. That's why it makes it a really tricky slate. I'm not going huge in the slate, just to be honest. Like, I'm playing more light just because there's so many different options. I don't feel like super great about like a core group of guys. Let's see. DK here are 2 tough ones for you. Randall versus Ingram and McRae versus Aaron Gordon. So I will go Julius Randle there because I like the matchup better, and I will go Jordan McRae, same reason. I like the matchup better. Both are key decisions, in my opinion. Thanks in advance, bro. Of course, man. My fellow DK, right? I will go Randall, and I will go McRae there. Good luck, everyone. What kind of question was that? Ingram going to be a 3% owned? I don't know if he's going to be 3%, but I think he will pick up some ownership because he has a pretty high floor. It's a revenge spot. Like, you never know. Like, if the Pelicans keep that game close, he's probably going to have a big game. Rondo or Ntilikina, dependent on Alfred Payton news, I guess. Have we had that yet? I mean, I think he's going to be out. I'm not a big Ntilikina guy, but he is at almost min price. I like Rondo's upside, but his minutes have been way down. Like, I just wish Rondo would get like 20 to 25, and I would love him at that price, but I don't know. So I guess I got to go Ntilikina right now for the savings. Tyler Hero, Hart, or Ross? That's a good question. I will go Tyler Hero right now between those 3 guys. Capella or Ayton? Also a good question. Capella, I really like the price, but the matchup's bad. Ayton played 32 minutes out of the bench. It's in a better spot. I will lean towards Ayton slightly because of the matchup. Think about playing Harden and Embiid together. Yeah, of course that's viable. Again, there's a lot of cheap guys I've won over, so that is perfectly viable. That's something I really did think about. I only have Embiid right now, but Harden was a guy that I did want to definitely try to get in. But as of right now, I'm not on him, or I don't have him in my lineup, but I am a little bit scared for sure of fading Harden. Ingram is projected at 18% owned. Yeah, so I mean, I think he probably gets 10 to 15% would be my best guess. So yeah, and he has a high floor too, a revenge spot as well. I think I'm gonna play the late slate. I'm probably gonna get to him in the late slate. I don't think I can get there in the main, just because like those guys priced around him in much better spots. Oubre or Hayward? Another good question for sure. I will go Oubre just for the reason of, there is a little bit of blowout risk potentially on the Boston side, right? Like Boston is favored by 10, if I remember correctly, 10.5. Whereas I guess there's a little bit of blowout risk there too for Suns and Knicks, but yeah, I'll go Oubre. That's a close one. Ingram will get revenge ownership. Yeah, that is true, right? People are going to be thinking of the revenge game narrative. Maybe he will be a little bit higher owned. Ingram is Beer's Beast of the Night, auto fade. Jones Jr. or Hero? So Jones Jr. has been playing the minutes consistently. He gets about 30 on a night-to-night basis, whereas Hero fluctuates a little bit, right? Some nights 20, some nights over 30. So I would probably go Jones Jr. in cash just because he's been playing more consistent minutes. Whereas Hero, again, is fluctuated a little bit, but I do like the upside on Hero if he gets extended. You don't think Rondo will get 20th Caruso out? That actually is a good point. How many minutes was Caruso? That is a good point. Thanks for bringing that up. I kind of forgot about that. Let's see. So Caruso's at okay, so, I mean, 11, 20, 16. He played 4 minutes the last game. That's where he got injured, I believe. And then Rondo only got, I believe, like 18 that game. 15. He might pick up a few extra minutes. I love playing Rondo. I think he's more of just a contrarian GPP option right now. I don't think I can feel confident with him in cash games. You can take a shot for sure for GPPs. If he's playing well, like if Rondo plays well, he could have got extended. And he's a guy that, again, he gets the peripheral stats. Like, I would not be surprised if Rondo goes out and gets your 35 fantasy points in like 25 minutes. That's always a possibility. I don't feel comfortable with his minutes right now for cash games. What's the impact on Rondo without ball spot Caruso? Yeah, so I think he picks up a little bit more run, but not a huge deal. Is AD a good spend up? Thanks in advance. I think he is. Again, there's a lot of solid spend ups. You know, the 2 Lakers guys, Embiid and Harden. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can go. So I have no issue with AD at I believe to 10.3K. Garrison Matthews can shoot the lights out. I'll play him at 3K with no Beal. So he did have the one big game when Beal was out. He had like a huge game if I remember correctly. Yeah, he played 29 minutes, got 35 fantasy points. He is a min price. I don't feel as confident there because he's a little bit scoring dependent just looking at these box scores. But if you want to take a shot at min price, that's okay. Bam Favors and Frank Ntilikina or Embiid, Ish, and Redick. I love the upside Embiid, but Redick, I don't know if he's a cash game play because his minutes have been more down. Whereas, Bam and Favors will play decent minutes. I think Frank Ntilikina, if those guys are out, will play consistent minutes. So I'll go Bam, Favors, and Frank, even though I do really love Embiid for cash games. I think that is probably the preferred way to go. Melo or Tobias, and how do you like Horford and Nunn? So Melo versus Tobias, they're both kind of similar players, right? Both kind of score independent. Both can get hot. Both are in good spots too. I will go. That's really almost a coin flip. I guess I'll go Tobias. It really is like a coin flip for me. And how do you like Horford and Nunn? So I think Kendrick Nunn's a pretty solid value play there. I believe it was at 4.4. Horford, I don't see myself getting to on this slate. Ish Smith, yeah. So he's probably my second favorite Wizard. The concern is they don't really run him and Isaiah Thomas out there a lot together. And if Isaiah is playing well, that will limit Ish's minutes a bit. But he's at 4.2, and Ish has flashy upside. One thing I'm considering is I have $200 left over. I do have Ish currently in. I could go up to get Kendrick Nunn, who's been playing a little bit more minutes. That's what I'm still deciding on, right? Is Kendrick Nunn versus Ish Smith in my lineup. Is Cash in cash? Is Bam good? Yeah, I think you can go Bam there. He's underpriced. It's a bad spot, but at his price, I don't think he's going to kill you. We know he's going to play the big minutes. Ish Smith or Nunn GPP? Yeah, so I actually just brought that up. Probably Ish Smith. I think he has a little bit more upside in a better spot. So I'll lean slightly with Ish there for GPP. The real bench spot is Ingram tomorrow against Sacramento. He really, really dislikes Luke Walton. Good point. Fade Ingram. McRae, Harden, Ross, Randall, AP, Ish Smith, Favors, and Booker GPP. I like that a good amount. No issue with that at all. Randall or Ingram? I'm going to go Randall because of the better spot in my opinion. But Ingram, I think, has a pretty high floor even in a bad matchup. Hayward or Oubre? And I think someone already asked that. I'll lean slightly towards Oubre. But that's almost a coin flip too. Both pretty similar players. Both in good matchups. Both will play pretty significant minutes. So it's a close one for sure with those two. Oh, Alpha's on his way to Phoenix. Yeah, so if that's the case, obviously you don't go Frank Ntilikina. Then you go with Embiid, Ish, and Redick. Oh, yeah, Alfred Payton personal on his way to Phoenix to rejoin Knicks remain questionable. Isn't that game? Is that an earlier game? Or is that a later game? Oh, that is a later game. It's 8 o'clock. So that's tough, right? Obviously, if he plays, I'm not going with Ntilikina. So that makes it a bit tricky. And then some of those guys you listed are in early games, so you kind of be screwed, right? Yeah, because you have Ish is an early game. So yeah, Matthew, I think I would just go with the second option then for now because just the whole Frank Ntilikina stuff is up in the air with Alfred Payton. Do you think stacking Portland versus Washington is smart? I don't mind it. I think that's the best possible or the game that should be played at the fastest pace. Now the Portland guys, some of them are a little bit overpriced, but it's one of the best possible spots. Like I would not be surprised if Lillard still crushes. I would not be surprised if Whiteside still crushes. Answer Kem Birch, Daniel Tice, or Bobby Portis. All pretty similar. All I think get around 20. I think Kem Birch maybe gets a little bit more. I'm not like super excited about any of those three. I think it's between Portis and Tice. I'll go Bobby Portis, but yeah, I'm not super excited about any of those three guys. 8 p.m. Central game, yes, but like I said, like you have in your other options, you had guys that start in the early games. Smart or none, or Peyton or McRae, which one? Well, if salary doesn't matter, I still think I would go Marcus Smart 1 and then McRae 2. Frank Ntilikina, Smart, Tucker, Randall, Embiid, Harden, Derrick Jones Jr., McRae. Would you rather have McRae or Aaron Gordon? Also Tucker, Terrence Ross. So I'd rather have McRae versus Aaron Gordon. Better matchup. Tucker versus Terrence Ross. Is it GPP? If it's GPP, I think I would go Terrence Ross. If it's cash games, I'd probably go Tucker. Cash, McRae, GPP, Gordon, in my opinion. You giving JJ Redick some tick? I don't know, because his minutes have been down. If he plays well, I think he could get extended to like 25 to 30, and he's almost min-price. So I'm perfectly fine as JJ Redick as a value guy as well. Alfred on the way to the game, exactly. That's like, what the heck? Thoughts on Eric Gordon if no minutes limit? I don't see myself getting there. The price tag is appealing, but I don't see myself getting there in this slate. I'm playing some Gordon. Yeah, I'm fine to get to Gordon. Like I said, I like his price. We haven't heard of anything of a minutes limit. It's a really bad spot, but no Jonathan Isaac. There is some usage to go around. I'm okay if you land at it. Again, I'm not playing him, but it's fine for me. I'm not gonna like say he's like a really bad play because he's not. His price tag is appealing. Ooh. Let's see. Okay, so we are basically at lock here. The real question is Elf driving or flying? DeJounte Murray got rolled out for Saturday. That's somewhat significant. Thoughts on Cantor hitting tonight? He's just like a GPP option for me, right? Because the minutes aren't. He's never going to play like 30 plus minutes. I think he gets right around 20, maybe a little bit more. He's fine if you want like a contrarian GPP option, but if you're making one lineup, I would not go there. Is DeAndre Ayton good cash game play? I think he's a solid cash game play. He did play 32 minutes off the bench. My best guess is he's gonna start this one, but you never know. So if he comes off the bench, and I guess that is a slight downgrade to him. Oh boy, locked. Hopefully a cash night. Yeah, let's hope for a good one. Again, I kind of played light today just because there's so many good options in my opinion. GGC, thanks again for the content, of course, man. So by far, that news we can lock in Jonathan Murray for 30 minutes tomorrow. Basically, knowing Popovich. I'm looking forward to seeing that random point 5 guy owned in the winning lineup. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's so many different value guys today that there's going to be a lot of low-owned guys for sure in the winning lineup. But yeah, I can go over some ownership here in the $40 single entry tournament. Hope Payton is out. Let's see. So, okay, who I have in the early games, I have Ish Smith is 30% owned. I have Jordan McRae is 46% owned. I have Bazemore, who's 18%. He was one of the value guys I took a shot on, and I have Marcus Smart at 51%. Those are the 4 guys I have in right now, but I think there's going to be some ownership elsewhere. So let me look at some other guys' lineups to see who else is owned. CJ McCollum coming in at 12%. Gordon Hayward, 43%. That is a little bit surprising. I didn't think he'd be that high owned. Like I like Hayward for sure. I didn't think he'd be 43% owned. So yeah, that's a little bit surprising, but I don't mind it. Daniel Tice, 8%. Again, someone asked what him, Bobby Portis, or Ken Birch. Those 3 guys are fine. I just don't feel great about any of them. Troy Brown, 24%. AP at 20%. I mean, he was almost mid-price. Let's see. Birch, sub 2% in my contest. Let's see. Kendrick Nunn, 25%. Again, those Miami guys, those value guys, at least with him, Hero, and Derrick Jones Jr., were a bit underpriced. Let's see. So this guy really stacks the early game. So he's got Ish, McRae, Hayward. Again, he's a high owned. Jason Tatum, 19% at 8.2. That's okay. And then he had AP, Smart, and Troy Brown. What do you think of? What do you guys think of this line for GPPs? Let's see it. Tyler Hero, 9%. I kind of like that ownership for Tyler Hero. DK, you trying to qualify for the FBWC? I'm not. Terrence Ross, 6%. Bam Adebayo, 12%. Jimmy Butler, 8%. Yeah, so those two, the 2 more expensive guys in Miami, Jimmy and Bam, were fine for me. I just wasn't going to go out of my way to play them. McRae, Harden, Ross, Randall, AP, Ish Smith, Favors, and Booker, DK, GVP. Yes, that's pretty similar to mine. Very, very similar, actually. I have Embiid in there instead of Harden. I have a couple other guys switched around, but we have a lot of similar guys. So, yeah, that stands as a pretty good lineup in my opinion. DeAndre Hunter, 2%. Aaron Gordon, 8%. I'll check a couple more lineups here, and then I'll get out of here. Let's see. Gary Payton, 14%. All right, I think I am going to hop out of here, guys. I hope you guys all have a great Friday. I appreciate always coming to check out the live stream. We're over 100 viewers once again. I'm going to have, let's see, there's a decent-sized slate for Saturday, I think. Yeah, there's a good amount of games. I might try and get that lineup video out either before dinner or it's going to be later tonight, probably. So be on the lookout for that. If you guys are interested in NFL content, too, I did upload my video for the wild card slate. Murray out. Yeah, Murray out for tomorrow. Harden, Frankie Smokes, Oubre, Hayward, Randall, Troy Brown, Aaron Gordon, AP, my DK GPP. Yep, that is no issue with that either. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna hop out here, guys. It is important to follow me on Twitter. That will be in the description below. I'll give my thoughts as we get the rest of the news throughout the night. The really big news, I guess, is still the availability of Alfred Payton, because if he is out, that does make Ntilikina a decent value play. But if he's in, that takes him out of play. But yeah, thanks again, everyone. I hope you guys all have a great Friday. I hope you guys win some cash, and I will see you tomorrow.